afternoon, everyone. We're sitting here with Peter Haggerty, Australia's leading expert in self-realisation programs, or is he? On the dawn and launch of his Big Soul program, I'm here to grill him for your benefit to ensure the next decision you make in your personal growth is the right one. Peter, what is Bold Soul?
Bold Soul is a program that gets people really connected with what it is that they would love to bring into the world, and then challenges them to bring that into the world in a way that they can sustain over the long term.
I don't understand what that means at all.
Okay. Well, it's fundamentally about connecting with yourself on a deep level so that you can actually get a very, very strong and constant appreciation of what it is that you actually want to bring to the world, despite what the outside world may be telling you should be doing. And then going to the next stage, which is to begin to do that in a small, quantifiable way that makes sense and can be sustained over a long period of time.
Do what? Connect with yourself.
Connect with yourself and then act from that space and get results in the outside world.
I feel pretty connected to myself. How would one know if they're disconnected?
Well, you don't if you're disconnected. That's part of the issue. Generally what will happen though is the outside world will tend to respond with by bringing a whole lot of challenges to you and a whole lot of things that make you really unhappy. You get a lot less serendipity or luck in your life. You get a lot less experience of having things just work out for you. Sorry?
It just sounds like you're saying that our problems are our fault and we're somehow to blame.
I wouldn't say to blame, but I think that we have a lot to do with our problems being created. And a lot of the time, things that happen outside of us, problems that just seem to appear out of nowhere. If we track back, we can find where we ourselves play a part in that.
Okay, fair enough. Can you give an example?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have issues in their relationships. Like you have a relationship and it all seems to be going along really well, and then all of a sudden a problem seems to come out of nowhere. And then when you backtrack, if you're really honest, you might realise that you haven't actually been hearing what your partner's been saying to you for the last 3 months or so. So by not being attentive, you're part of the creation of that problem.
Okay, so how does Big Soul help? You seem to be making some pretty heavy claims for a 12-week program.
Well, Bold Soul, as I said, it actually, by getting you deeply connected and then challenging you to do something in the outside world through that connection, actually enables you to grow that connection. Because a lot of people are spiritually aware, but then they don't take action on what is inside them. And then because of that, that spiritual awareness doesn't flourish, doesn't flower. And so it's different because it challenges you to actually do something with it.
Sounds all a bit touchy-feely. Do people actually go on and do stuff just because of a spiritual connection?
Yeah, absolutely. We had one guy who went out and started a beer company. Like that was one of his dreams to do that. And he had a very successful business anyway, but the beer company seems to be going on really well because that is what his passion is. We had another person do something which you might call airy-fairy, which is a very intuitive woman who managed to get herself out of being confined to a wheelchair and then also out of a relationship which was really not serving her, out of financial distress, and then has gone on to create a business where she's doing really well from that.
That does sound pretty incredible. Would you call yourself a miracle worker?
I don't call myself a miracle worker. I think I am very good at coaching people to perform their own miracles. And that's not just something that I'm saying to sound cute or anything like that. At the end of the program, people tend to have a much higher level of self-sufficiency.
Self-sufficiency? What do you mean?
The ability to know when they need to make a change in their life, the power to make that change, and also the humility to ask for help when they need it.
Sounds like just common sense to me.
Yeah.
Surely we need a program.
Yeah. As they say, common sense isn't all that common. So common sense, I believe, is actually about connecting to yourself and going for the things that are obvious, even though they could be staring us right in the face, but we don't see them.
People are very busy these days, Peter, and it feels like a whole lot of money and time to pay for a bit of common sense. How is this program different? Why should people bother?
Well, when you don't have common sense, like that connection with yourself, as I call it, then it becomes incredibly valuable. And often, a lot of the time, people don't have that common sense because they are too busy to listen to themselves and they are too disconnected. If they've got it, then they don't need the program, definitely. If they don't have it, then the program is going to benefit them greatly, and they'll probably end up with a whole lot more time for themselves at the end.
Okay, so how do you like to spend your time?
I spend my time, I've got 3 beautiful children, 3 daughters actually, and through doing this work I've become a lot more present with them. I adore being their father and being a bit of a crazy dad. I also like to do a lot of meditation, writing, coaching obviously, and I don't actually do all that much else, to be honest.
So knowing what you know, what values would you love to instill in your daughters?
Well, I suppose any parent wants to instill values in their children that are similar to their own, so you're kind of projecting a little bit. But having said that, I want to project values into my children that gets them connected with themselves and then doing what it is that they love to do. Like my oldest daughter, I think, would love to be a ballet dancer or an acrobat, whereas my middle daughter probably wants to be a singer. And then from my youngest daughter, I can tell that she probably wants to do something with yoga, although she's a bit young to really know just yet.
Well, that does sound very sweet. Peter, if you could convince the Australian public with just a couple of words about the Bold Soul program, some that are a bit sceptical, what would you say?
I'd say if it feels right for you, then it's something to do, or at least find out about, to go a little bit further. If it's something that feels like you've already got what it's offering, I would say then you need to follow yourself and do that. So to convince them, I'd say the best convincing I could do is to not convince them.
Peter, thank you for that. We do also have 2 free gifts for you today from Peter. The first one is a Seeing Into People MP3, and the second one is the first chapter of Peter's new book. All you need to do is opt in your details to the form below with your name and email address. Peter, can you tell us a little bit more about these gifts?
Yeah, the Seeing Into People exercise is a simple and relaxing exercise that gets you connected with yourself so that you can then connect with others and have that gentle effectiveness in your life. And it's really about connecting with your innate common sense.
Sounds good.
And the first chapter of the book, it's really, really easy. The first chapter of the book is an invitation to go on a journey to become a bold soul and actually take action about what inspires you.
Wow, these sound great and interesting already, but can I push the friendship and you throw something else in right before we go?
Yeah, I'll offer one person 2 hours of free coaching, which is normally valued at $450, and that's just to see whether in fact this is a journey that's right for you at this time.
Sounds great, thank you.
Thanks, Elaine.